Welcome to the CEO Shift Show, helping specialized service business owners build a business that runs without them. I'm Carol Surbey, professionally trained business coach, and today we're going somewhere that most trades and specialty service owners don't want to go. We're talking about what happens after you close the deal. Because here's the thing, and I want you to really hear this. Most skilled operators I work with are excellent at winning the work. What they're doing, sell, they know their work, quote, they know how to close. But the margin, the profit you build into that estimate, it doesn't disappear on site. It disappears in the gap between signing the contract and the first morning your crew shows up. So that gap has a name. It's called pre-production. And if you don't own it with a system, it owns you. If your business can't run without you, it's not a business yet. It's a job with overhead. Let me tell you about my client, Blake. Blake runs a renovation contracting business. He's got a good team, real skills, a genuine reputation for doing things right. When we started working together, Blake was doing what a lot of other contractors do when the calendar gets thin. He was scrambling. He was filling gaps. He was taking whatever was coming in the door. And to his credit, he did it. He filled the calendar. He kept his crews employed through a stretch of the season that could have gone really sideways. He even landed a last-minute job. He took the call Tuesday, quoted it Wednesday, and started the following Tuesday. That's not nothing. That's hustle that deserves the acknowledgement. But here's what Blake told me when I asked him to celebrate that win. He said, "Yeah, you're right, but I'm still stressed. Finances are still tight, and I'm just focused on what's actually next." So I'm wondering for you if that sounds familiar. That's the operator mindset. Head down, next job, let's just survive the month. And it will keep you employed, but it will not build you a business. So we started looking at what we had to change. And what we found was a gap that every business owner I've ever worked with has. And that's the pre-production gap. Here's the pattern. You do a walkthrough, you go through the plans, you take your notes, you quoted the job, you're good at it. The estimates are detailed, broken out, scoped line by line. The client sees a professional, they sign. And then the build happens. You're driving home or lying in bed, or you're in the middle of a site visit for a different job. And the sequence of Blake's project is running in your head. You know how to sequence the work. You know what the supplier says about lead times. You know that the rough-ins have to happen before the next piece goes back in. You know all of it. Does your team? Your team gets the job binder. They get the scope of work, which, is detailed, but the scope tells them what's being done. It doesn't tell them how you thought through the bid. And that you plan to do the demo and the rough-in the first 2 days, so the inspector can get in before the long weekend. It doesn't tell them about the protection setup you had in mind for the hardwood floors. And so what happens? The job then gets built differently than you planned. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does. And sometimes it costs you a lot of money in rework, in reordering materials, in a crew that waits because a sub wasn't booked at the right time. Blake named it perfectly. He said the guys are sometimes building it differently than how he thought it would be done. The building lives in your head. Your team builds from what you give them. The gap between those two realities is costing you money on every single project. So what's the fix? Well, it's not more binders. It's not longer scopes of work. It's a structured pre-production system, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Here's what Blake and I mapped out together. Step 1, the walkthrough checklist. Before you quote, you need a documented checklist for every walkthrough. Not the notes you scribbled on the back of a quote sheet. An actual checklist. And the versions for the different kinds of work that you do, with the specific things you need to capture every single time. So if you're doing restoration, you want to be able to locate the master water valve coming into the property, locate the electrical panel, locate the safety exits. These are the things that you have to capture every single time. Did you photograph the subfloor? Do you know where the fixtures are sourced from? If it's relevant, did you check the plumbing stack access? Blake told me he has had to go back to a job site because he forgot to check something during the walkthrough. Let's be perfectly clear here. That's a cost. That's your time, and it's avoidable. Here's the bonus. If you're working through that checklist visibility on your tablet, on a clipboard, the client sees you checking 15 things the last contractor never even looked at. That's sales. That's differentiation. That's the moment they decide you're the one they want. Step 2, the pre-production master checklist. Once the contract is signed, you need a master checklist, one per project type, that maps every task that needs to happen between signed contract and day one. Material order, subs confirmed and scheduled, client pre-start meeting booked, protection materials staged, permits pulled, job binder prepared, site handoff meeting with your lead hand completed. Not on paper, in company cam, in your Google Drive, wherever it lives. It does not live in your head any longer. It is now a system. It has clear ownership, who is doing each item, and when that item is due. Step number 3, the build story. This one's really subtle, but it matters. Your estimate documents the scope and the cost. Your pre-production notes need to document the sequence, how you thought through the build. A short build narrative, 5 to 10 bullet points. This is how I'd love to sequence this job. It needs to happen before that can happen. And this is what I'm watching for. When your lead hand reads that, they're not just executing tasks. They're now building the job the way you'd build it if you were there. So step number 4, the handoff meeting. Blake already does this. A week before the start date, he walks the job with his lead. He meets the client, he goes through the binder. Now that's a really strong foundation. What he's building now is a consistent agenda for that meeting. Not just a walkthrough, but a structured handoff with specific items to cover every single time. Areas of concern, protection plan, subschedule, First 2 days in detail. Pre-production is not admin. It's the most profitable work that you do. Every hour you spend on it before the job starts saves you 3 hours of problem solving on the site. Blake is now heading into a stretch of well-priced work. Jobs he quoted, right? Jobs he wants to protect. The system he's building now, the walkthrough checklist, the pre-production master checklist, the handoff structure, that's what turns a good estimate into a profitable job. He's also doing something I want every one of you to hear. He's actually using AI, specifically ChatGPT, to build these systems in real time. Talking through the 6-week production timeline, letting it fill in the gaps, getting the first draft checklist in 2 minutes instead of staring at a blank page. That's not a shortcut. That's leverage. And every process you get out of your head and into a documented system is one more thing that your business can do without you being the one who does it. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. You can win every bid and still lose the job in the gap. The gap between the contract and day one. The pre-production gap is real, it's common, and it's costing you money on every single project. The fix is easy. It's a system. Not a perfect system, a first version. Build the walkthrough checklist. Build the pre-production master checklist. Document the handoff and assign the ownership. And if you need help getting started, book a free discovery call at carolsurbey.com. 30 minutes, and you'll leave with a clear picture of where your biggest systems gaps are and a prioritized plan to fix them. Build a business that runs without you, with systems that scale. Now build something worth showing up to.